Hey, what is up guys? So we are going to be having a discussion and talk about this new card that is called Supply Unit, which actually comes out in the OCG Structure Deck 2014. Currently we don't have it in the TCG. When I first read this card, it wasn't actually announced, and I thought that card would have a crazy effect. Now in the TCG we play a much faster game, so let's go ahead and check out Supply Unit, then we'll have a brief discussion and talk about the card. So it is a continuous spell card, and its effect is, once per turn, if a monster you control is destroyed by battle or by card effect, draw one card. So that doesn't have to be on your own turn, that can be on your opponent's turn as well. So I think this is really good in that aspect. Sometimes you want to crash your own monsters, you know, some decks can actually benefit off of that. Like TGs, they can swarm really hard and then they can actually make something, but they can generally just keep cards on board and just let them float for a while. And I think that this is really where this card can excel. Now there's another card that kind of has the same idea. It's just like you put it on board and you kind of wait for a while. I mean, in the OCG, they have Heavy Storm, so they have to worry about that. But in the TCG, we don't have Heavy Storm. Shard of Greed can still be a really good card for draw power if you wanted it to. I mean, in the same sense, Supply Unit will kind of just linger on the field. Shard of Greed, you just gotta wait a little bit, then you can go for a huge push. Now, a lot of players have been saying that this card is broken, Asian Eyes. You have to see this card. Now, like I said, OCG and TCG is a completely different game. Not only do we have different rules as far as what cards we can run, but we play completely different. Okay, let me go ahead and give you guys an example of why I don't think this card is as broken as some of you guys would actually put it. So, like I said, it's a once per turn thing, and there are so many decks that are coming out that are just way too fast, especially the playstyle in the TCG. I mean, how many decks do we see playing Reckless Greed and Upstart Goblins only to just OTK with Mermails, with Hieratic Rulers? There's so many decks that can just pull off OTKs. Heck, we have the, Madolche's coming out, the Angeli's coming out, we have Sylvan's coming out. Both of those decks, heavy OTK decks. There are some, slower decks that have a lot of consistency as far as keeping monsters on board, like Boojins, for example, but at the same time, most of the time with your Boojin plays, you're going to keep your monster on board. If your monster goes away, you can simply just lose. I'm not sure how, just drawing one card will help, but at least with Boojin, sometimes when you draw the other cards that you want in the graveyard anyways, say like the turtle or the rabbit, you can at least set them or, crash into your opponent's monsters if you want to. But for the most part, I would say you need a slower deck to actually really utilize the draw power of Supply Unit. I mean, heck, you can throw 3 of these in anything. It's not like it's a conditional card where it only works in certain decks. Like, pretty much every deck has the potential to use it, but the one problem I see with this, if you don't play Battle Fader, your opponent's just going to be like, oh, okay, well, why would I give him some small advantage? Maybe your opponent is playing Mermails, maybe they're playing Hieratic Rulers. They're not going to want to give you that little advantage. They're not going to sit there and just, slowly attack over your monsters over and over. A good player would probably see Supply Unit and just be like, oh, okay, I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to get some card advantage, maybe he has a bad hand or something like that. He's just waiting to make a move. At that point, the Mermail player can just play passively. They can set Lin, they can just set up for a huge push. Same thing with the Hieratic Rulers. They can just set up, they can go for a Tum and just not do anything. They could literally just wait for you to make a move and then stop your move, and the next turn they're just going to OTK you and you draw that one card. Good for you. You've already lost the game. But, there are decks, like Hieratic Rulers, they don't really play Battle Fader. They're more of a fan of Swift Scarecrow, and even then, it's only at 1. But, I mean, I think this card has some potential. Don't get me wrong, guys. I don't think this card is an awful card. It really looks good when you first glance at it, but when you look at the game as a whole, what is actually winning? Maybe against Fire Fist, although that deck is kind of going to be less popular now that Wolfbark is at 1. But, against a slower deck that likes to maintain a control aspect, maybe something like against Evil Swarm, heck, it's an okay card because Evil Swarm generally don't OTK. I mean, very rarely will they go Dark Arm and drop out like multiple other cards after that. I mean, they get several normal summons, but, nothing's a huge threat in that deck, I would say, other than like Ophion at that point. Some decks just simply lose to it. But, for the most part, I can't wait till we get this new structure deck, because hopefully this card won't be like an OCG exclusive, because I think this card has a lot of potential. If you guys want to have some draw power that works in any deck, I mean, Reckless Greed and Upstart is definitely the way to go as of right now. I mean, obviously, since we don't have this card, we can't play it. But the thing is, with Supply Unit, it is definitely a slower card. Like I said, if you play against other TCG players, you're going to realize that a lot of our decks are OTK based, and that one draw won't really help. But if you're a player that's maybe playing TGs or something that has a lot of ability to defend themselves, keep themselves alive, maybe you run a bunch of back row. Heck, I think maybe if you combine Supply Unit, maybe, heck, you just run a whole bunch of, cards to sustain themselves. Something like maybe Swift Scarecrow, Des Lakuta, Supply Unit. Just keep on gaining a whole bunch of draw power. Maybe you can have some fun with trolling your opponent and then maybe drawing out for a huge combo push. Would be kind of cool to see someone try to make a, I don't know, like a deck that uses like multiple supply unit, I think multiple supply unit and multiple Swift Scarecrow. That way you can't really get OTK'd and you can still use that effect once per turn. I think that might be something that you can think about. But if you guys know any combos with supply unit, it does say you control, not one monster that not your monster, because in that way you can creature swap and swap the monsters, and then you'd be able to draw a card. And then with the TGs you get a search. Oh, that would get so much better, but you actually have to control it, so that definitely just changed some of the rulings on it. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you guys know any good ways or good decks to use this in, let me know and I'll test it out. For the most part, I'm thinking TGs definitely could utilize this card more than any other deck, but I mean, we'll have to see what they do with zombies. It looks like they're trying to push zombies a little. Zombies is a deck that can float for other cards for a while too, and I think that's where this card can really excel. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes out.